filling up neighborhoods and roads. Experts are saying that this is a once-in-a-50-year flood, and locals are saying they've never seen anything like this in their life.
No one knows what this new order will look like. It's still very early days. We are in a period of transition and a period of evolution.
Future that was in the future and that would be covered with a series of unprecedented events.
I heard the roar. I felt that roar. I knew to keep it pushing. I knew that.
Curtis Jones says he was walking near Robber Street late Wednesday when he saw people running from what appeared to be a large wild cat.
After I see the people run, I just see something big just walking, just right over here, right by the bush. It went right over here. I swear, I promise you, it went right over there. And it said roar, and I just kept walking. I seen me, see it. So in my head, I'm like, nah, I gotta go, man, I'm out.
Rochester police say officers became aware of a video on social media that appears to show a wildcat, which some people claim is a mountain lion. RPD says it received numerous calls of reported sightings, including one near North Clinton Avenue and Robber Street just after midnight.
About like this big. Word. It was just walking, slithering, like it was, I don't know, man.
A shelter in place was ordered and then lifted when RPD was unable to verify the presence of a wild animal. Police say no reports have been substantiated. Jones tells me he remains on edge.
You gotta keep this bat right here. I'm gonna keep this bat right here, man, just in case. I'm gonna protect this. I ain't gonna let nothing happen to us, nothing, okay? They ain't find it last night. It's still out here. It could be out here in one of these bushes or something. You know, them mountain lions, they be, wow, they be crawling. You know, they serious.
The Monroe County Sheriff's Office assisted the investigation by using an aerial drone. The Seneca Park Zoo told 13 Wham all of its animals are accounted for.
I don't play with lions. I don't play with tigers, bears, nothing with the wild. I don't play with those. I promise you. I don't even do roller coasters. I'm good.
China is grappling with widespread flooding after torrential rains struck parts of Shanxi, Chongqing, and Guizhou. Footage from state broadcaster CCTV shows people being evacuated by rescue teams on rafts and streets submerged with water. In Weinan, a city in China's northwestern Shanxi province, heavy rainfall began in the early hours of Tuesday, prompting authorities to initiate an emergency response. Floodwaters damaged a section of a national highway through the city, where about 50 meters of road was washed out. Authorities in affected regions have issued warnings for continued geological risks, including landslides and mudslides, as rain is forecast to persist in some areas.
We're seeing just
been rocked by 4 1-in-1,000-year rainfall events in less than a week. First, there was catastrophic flooding in Texas. Days later, Tropical Storm Chantal drenched parts of North Carolina, causing major flooding there. And then on Tuesday, rain pummeled New Mexico, causing devastating flash flooding and deadly flash flooding. And in Chicago that same day, 5 inches of rain fell in only 90 minutes, prompting multiple rescues. Now, all those areas are thought to have a roughly 0.1% chance of this major flooding happening in any given year.
Thought to have a roughly 0.1% chance of this major flooding happening in any given year.
Central North Carolina, another, quote, once in a 100-year flood. In Chicago, a, quote, 1 in 1,000-year rain event. That's all just this week.
Something weird is going on around the world this week with the weather. In Guizhou, China, floodwaters surged over 837 feet, swallowing up neighborhoods and roads. Experts are saying that this is a once-in-a-50-year flood, and locals are saying they've never seen anything like this in their life. In Alabama today, an absolutely massive weather phenomenon appeared and then disappeared over Birmingham. Experts are saying that this could be a meteor or it was a radar glitch. And while media is reporting that now June is the new July with intense summer heats coming earlier than ever before, it is hailing in Tampa, Florida today. There is a 4.2 magnitude earthquake in Albania today. Buses in New York are falling into sinkholes because of the heat, and bridges in China are collapsing because of the rain. While everyone's focused on what's going on in the Middle East this week, I want to ask you, what do you think is going on with the weather?
Has been on a mission to make Grok stand out over ChatGPT and Google's Gemini. He lifted certain restrictions, but in doing that, he also opened up some real, it's problems.
Yeah.
It's real problems.
Yeah, nasty problems. Grok has been making headlines for giving inflammatory responses, and some of those include racist or anti-Semitic responses. One that seemed to praise Adolf Hitler.
Yikes. Well, in the chaos, ex-CEO Linda Yaccarino announced that she is stepping down from the company.
Chinese basically have effective control. When the U.S. Secretary of State and National Security Advisor speaks, people listen. But what if they're the words of an imposter using readily available AI tools to dupe high-ranking officials?
This is the first exchange of real gunfire in the AI battles.
Imran Ahmed is CEO of the Center for Countering Digital Hate. They've reported extensively on how bad actors create deepfake voices and photos designed to manipulate voters and smear officials. Look, there's Joe Biden welcoming migrants and Donald Trump golfing with Vladimir Putin.
They're engineered to erode trust in institutions, in elections, in truth itself.
Someone let me know if we should be worried about this. So I just found out with ChatGPT's new O3 model, if you upload a picture, I'm going to do this one of me lounging at Half Moon Cay while I was on a cruise. You can actually ask it, where was this picture taken and the coordinates, and if I hit enter, it'll actually analyze the image, and it'll give you an approximate guess on where it thinks that picture was taken. It says Half Moon Cay in the Bahamas, which is Carnival Cruises' private island, and it even gave me some coordinates. Scary.
What we have as well is agency. In other words, we have our own goals. You know, it's something we're already starting to see. Andrew, are you aware that there are experiments that have been run over the last year that show very strong agency and self-preserving behavior in AI systems? These systems, let me finish, please. These systems are trying, for example, to copy themselves in the file of the next version when they know that there's going to be a next version that replaces them, or they're trying to fake agreeing with the user so that their goals will not be changed through the training process. Were not programmed. These are emerging for rational reasons because these systems are imitating us. We are agents. So indeed, we are on a path where we're going to build machines that are more than tools, that have their own agency and their own goals, and that is not good. And you're saying it's okay, we're going to find ways to control them. But how do you know? Like right now, science doesn't know how we can control machines that are even at our level of intelligence, and even worse if they're smarter than us. Nobody knows. Now, there are people like Andrew who are saying, don't worry, we'll figure it out. I mean, if we don't figure it out, do you understand the consequences?
This is where AI is going to go. So right now, we are in the age of generative AI. So generative AI is ChatGPT, Midjourney. You're generating music, art, text. We're coming to agentic AI. Agentic AI is AI that can actually think like an employee. It can solve complex problems without human intervention. So you can go to your agentic AI and you will soon be able to say, listen, I run a real estate property company. I need a really interesting post to showcase my newest development. The AI will go analyze all the pictures in your Google Drive, pick the best pictures, which are going to create the best response, write a caption, come up with 3 different ideas, post 3 different ideas on TikTok, analyze the data, generate the video, generate the voice, generate everything, and then see which one has the best response, and then turn that into a Facebook ad, put that ad on Facebook, tap into your credit card account, go and deploy money to Meta to pay for the ad, analyze the results of the ad, decide if it should kill it, expand it, tweak it, optimize it, then get back to you in 48 hours and say, here's my report. And it'll do it better than any human employee. And it'll do it at maybe 1/100th the cost. We're going in an age of instant results. You've heard of software as a service. We're about to enter results as a service, RAAS. But that's just the beginning.
Well, that will definitely wake you up. Lightning ripping through the skies over the DMV during tonight's severe storms. This is some new doorbell video from DC's Noma neighborhood. The lightning also grounding planes at Reagan National Airport. Take a look.
Whoa! Oh my gosh, I got that on camera!
A passenger on this plane caught a lightning bolt on camera as they were stuck on the tarmac. The woman says they were supposed to take off for Las Vegas at 4:30, but didn't end up leaving until 4 hours.
Holy. The rain moved in quickly, dumping buckets of water at the height of the morning commute. Sarah recorded her husband Mike with that white-knuckle grip. The couple on the expressway southbound headed to close on their first home. They made it, but the flooding only got worse.
Careful, buddy. You're gonna flood out your car.
I stopped, and the cops waved me through. And as I went through, I didn't take my foot off the gas at all. All my lights went on, and the car just rolled to a stop.
Carrie Keeney was one of the drivers caught in the severe flash flooding. You can see her van there in the middle on the expressway near the Milton-Quincy line.
Rain leading parts of the East Coast, a waterlogged mess. Overnight in North Carolina, flash floods submerged entire neighborhoods. Similar scenes to the north in New Jersey and Massachusetts, where this morning's commute descended into chaos after sections of the critical I-93 interstate washed out. Some drivers rescued from nearby roads.
And across the greater Boston area last night, the expressway was backed up on the Milton-Quincy line as drivers had to navigate really high water on the roads. We also saw intense lightning that flashed over Raynham in Boston. A barn caught fire in Walpole. If that's directly connected to the storm is still unclear, but we know down in Rhode Island, there were a lot of damage connected to the storm. Lightning struck several structures, including 3 homes along the same road in Barrington.
There's another flash flooding emergency for the United States, this time in New Mexico.
I got sent home early yesterday. I got sent home early today by the same person. I'm telling you, she's a bully. This shit isn't funny. She needs to understand that just because she's a mother and got children doesn't mean that she can come in this store, disrespecting people, talking to them like everybody's beneath her. She has no respect. And it isn't funny at all. Like, seriously, man, I got shit I gotta take care of. And she keeps sending me home early. It's not funny. She's playing games. And then all day, throughout the day, she keeps saying her little racial shit. And then throughout the day, she keeps on, putting negative energy in the air, talking about people, gossiping about people. It's not funny, man. That shit gonna have to stop. She's a bully. I'm telling you. She's a bully. She brings a lot of negative energy in there. She always panic when there's a lot going on, and then she try to manipulate that and make it seem like we ain't doing something right, but we are working really hard and doing great. It's just the fact that she panicked, and I caught her a few times making a mistake, and she tried to hurry up and play it off. Nobody's perfect. It's fucking McDonald's. It happens. You know what I mean? Sometimes, somebody might get confused. So fuck, it gets busy, yeah. But she needs to stop playing like she don't be making mistakes. I be catching her. So all that animosity and shit that she keep putting in the air and stuff, then trying to tell me, I'm always snapping on people. No, that's false. No, I don't snap on people. I don't go in there doing that. I tell her, no, I make peace. That's what I'm doing. I've been creating peace. So all that negative energy that she's bringing in there and trying to manipulate it, no, that's going to stop. All that negative shit she's saying about, her personal life, all of that. No, she's bringing all of that in there and then playing games saying she want to take her belt off and beat somebody. Y'all act like my kids in here. No, we ain't your kids. Respect us. Stop talking to us like that. That shit is crazy.
A devastating story out of Michigan. A working mother of 6 was killed on the job at a McDonald's in East Point. That's just outside Detroit. Jennifer Harris was the manager there. Police say she sent an employee home early. They returned with a knife and stabbed her to death. Harris had worked there for 15 years. Her young family is devastated.
I hate that she had to die alone in there. I hate that she had woke up trying to make money for me and my siblings and had to pass away just trying to work for us.
Oh my goodness. Investigators say Harris and a female employee got into a dispute and Harris asked the worker to leave. Witnesses say she came back wearing a mask and stabbed Harris. Police say a customer with a concealed carry license held the suspect at gunpoint until officers arrived.
So sorry for her family.
I will get to some serious stuff in a second, but there was just a lot of other weird stuff that happened today that I thought I might begin our conversation with tonight, including if today felt just a little bit different than every other day, if you felt like you had not enough time to get around and do whatever it is that you did today, well, guess what? You are not incorrect. Because a very strange scientific reason means that today, July the 9th, is the shortest day in the history of the world. Apparently, it is 1 nanosecond shorter than the average day because of the rotation of the Earth and apparently the fact that the planet is getting ever so slightly smaller. Again, the explanation that comes here via an American news website, I think this one, yeah. Earth is expected to complete a full rotation on the 9th of July at roughly 1.3 milliseconds less than the standard 86,400 seconds that define a 24-hour day. With that time difference, imperceptible to humans, it does represent a broader pattern that has left scientists scratching their heads for years. After thousands of years of the Earth slowing down, Earth has been spinning faster in recent years, constantly breaking records for its shortest days. Now, again, if you felt like today just was a millisecond faster, everything was a little bit yes, because of the Earth's rotation and it getting smaller. I told you it was a weird day today.
You talk about it being figurative and symbolically, and suddenly you don't have to do it anymore because you've really reduced it into something that is undefinable. The scriptures don't do that. The scriptures define things very specifically and very exactly. And so if we view these passages that we've looked at, and even here in Revelation 3:10, the context is the promise of escape, preceded by both Jesus' revelation, where 7 times we find him in chapter 7, he says that the times are going to be the great tribulation. So chapters 4 through 19 are about the great tribulation. In fact, a time that Jesus said would be unequaled from the beginning of the world until now and never to be equaled again. And Jesus then added after he said that, if those days had not been cut short, no one would survive. Think about that. I'm going to cut those days short that no one survive, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened.
I'm going to cut those days short that no one survive, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened.
Okay, what's happening near the Tokara Islands?
The islands have been hit by a series of earthquakes in a limited area since June 21st. There have been 1,180 earthquakes with an intensity of 1 or higher. The region, that's as of 11 a.m. today. The region has experienced extended seismic activity before, but this year is much more pronounced. Please see this graph. It compares this time to similar periods in the past. The vertical axis shows the cumulative number of quakes. The horizontal axis shows the number of days on which tremors of intensity 1 or higher occurred. In the past, There was a gradual decrease in the number of earthquakes after about 5 days of seismic activity. But this time, the graph goes steeply upwards, meaning that the number has been increasing.
Very concerning for the residents there. But why is this kind of earthquake occurring, and what's going to happen next? A magnitude 5.5 earthquake has struck Japan's southwestern prefecture of Kagoshima. The tremor reached a lower 6 on Japan's seismic intensity scale, which goes from 0 to 7. It is the largest of hundreds that have rocked the region for almost 2 weeks now. The quake struck at about 4:13 p.m. on Thursday, according to the meteorological agency officials. The epicenter was off the coast of the Tokara Islands. The depth was about 20 kilometers, but there was no threat of tsunami. There has been a marked increase in seismic activity around the island chain for nearly 2 weeks. More than 1,000 noticeable tremors have been recorded. The shock comes just a day after a magnitude 5.6 quake struck the same area. Officials say residents should stay on the alert and that the shaking could continue.
Take a look at this. Over the past week in southwestern Japan, they have had hundreds of earthquakes. What we call an earthquake swarm. And basically, they're all very shallow over just one specific area, just off the coastline of Toshima, where Japan actually launches their rockets for their space program. It's right here. The max intensity has been about a 5.0 to a 5.5 on the Richter scale. But the point is, it has absolutely been shaking this area to the point where residents are having voluntary evacuations just because of the ongoing shaking. Not so much of damage, since a lot of these buildings here are built for this. But my worry is this could be a precursor to a bigger one, what we call pre-quakes. Now, I also point this out here at First Coast News in the Jacksonville area where I'm recording this from, because there are 80,000 military members located on this island. That is Okinawa Honto. It's the biggest island and part of this chain where a lot of bases are located. Now, they haven't really been feeling these quakes. It's a little bit further towards the south of that, but it's close enough where if one does get bigger above a 6.0, it could be felt out in this area. So if you have military friends, Navy members located out in here, and they may be worried about it, just make sure they're taking those proper precautions, have a go bag, and they know what to do in the event of a large earthquake. But yeah, pretty incredible. I mean, I'm just seeing these reports out of here, upwards of 1,000 quakes over the course of the past week located here in southwestern Japan.
Guys, Robocop is a real thing now. They've got an AI-powered Robocop, 360 vision, live face tracking. They've literally started using this over in Thailand in the last week or so. The robot is equipped with AI that analyzes data from drones, CCTV, from real-time CCTV all around the cities. Its 360-degree cameras connect directly to the province's command center for first response.
Several advanced robots are vying to become the country's top Robocop. Unitree's G1 humanoid robot is becoming a popular platform for departments looking to experiment with robotics. Standing 133 centimeters, or about 4 feet 3 inches, the G1 has been seen serving alongside police in Shanghai, Luzhou, Guangxi, and Hangzhou, where Unitree is based. According to Chinese state media, the Hangzhou Police Department has equipped the robot to detect hazardous gases during patrols. The robot works in community engagement and safety monitoring roles. In Guangxi, Unitree's robots have been seen marching in formation and patrolling alongside officers during large events.
There is no reason for robots to be shaped like humans. This is everything that's wrong with technology in a single product. I mean, the foundational principle of good design is form follows function. The shape of something should be dictated by what it's meant to do. A spoon is shaped like a spoon because it's meant to hold liquid. A spoon is a good complement to a hand because it can do things a hand can't do on its own. A robot hand is not better than a spoon. That is form mimicking form, not function. It's complexity for its own sake. I mean, just think, if humans struggle to do certain tasks, why would you replace them with something that's shaped like a human? You're building in all of these same vulnerabilities. I mean, for most things, wheels are better than legs. Cavemen figured this out. They're trying to build these humanoid robots that do like everything. But all they're doing is ensuring the fact that they're not going to do anything particularly well. I mean, we can barely build a washer that's also a dryer. What makes you think we're going to build a janitor that's also a dentist? It's stupid. I mean, really what it is, this is human arrogance. When we think about intelligence, for some reason we see a reflection of ourselves. So we think if something's going to be smart, it has to look like us, has to walk like us, and think like us. But it's like, I mean, if fish were as smart as humans, they would build a robot that looks like a fish, and it wouldn't be able to go on land.
This is our cold water pressure in the kitchen. This is where I fill up water for storage. Those are the things we have to fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow, and that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah, and this is what's in the pipes.
Just the well itself is probably 12,000, and that's not counting into
All the displays and fixtures and products to the toilets and the lines that come underneath the house. It's overwhelming because you really feel like you are up against this huge wall that you can't penetrate. There's nothing that you can do, and they don't care.
I'm here in Mansfield, Georgia, driving by Meta's new 2 million square foot data center facility. Facilities like this are being used to power things like ChatGPT and other AI tools that are becoming integrated into our daily life.
data centers, going to be a very hot item.
This entire supercomputer is built to power Grok.
We see data centers as the most exciting asset class. Meta is building a 2 gigawatt plus data center that is so large it would cover a significant part of Manhattan.
But data centers come with big costs, from light and noise pollution to the environmental impacts, to the potential rising costs of energy bills. These facilities put extraordinary demand on the power grid and require entirely new infrastructure.
As a fatwa, or religious decree from Iranian officials, is calling for the assassination of President Trump, and they claim to have created an online fund worth an estimated $40 million. Max Lesser is senior analyst for emerging threats at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. He's been looking into all of this and does join us now live to discuss it a little bit further. First off, Max, thank you so much for being here with us. Can you kind of explain the situation here overall as a whole, what we're being told and maybe what we don't know just yet?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Josh. So there have been a lot of threats issued recently by members of the Iranian government, Shiite clerics, against Trump or just against Americans more broadly. And what I would say is that Iran has been trying to assassinate President Trump for years. And now it's all out in the open. And what I've been looking at with my team at FDD is a particular website that is seeking or allegedly claiming to crowdfund a bounty for Donald Trump's assassination, saying, look, if you carry out this deed, we will compensate you with this money. They claim to have raised millions and millions of dollars. The most recent figure was over $40 million. We have no idea if this is a legitimate number or not. But it's a clear effort to try to mobilize and motivate any sympathetic audience to carry out an act of violence against President Trump.
Dressed in a prison jumpsuit, this mom is accused of the unthinkable. Cops say she left her 2 kids in a hot car for 2 hours while she was getting lip injections. Her youngest son died in the blistering heat. Authorities say the young mom had her 2 babies, ages 1 and 2, strapped in their car seats in this parking lot while she was inside for up to 2 hours having a cosmetic procedure. It was one of the hottest days of the year. It reached 102 degrees. Maya Hernandez looked emotionless as she faced a judge inside a courtroom in Bakersfield, California. Ring camera footage shows police questioning the mom moments after she found both sons in a medical crisis. Hernandez is shielding her eyes from the bright sun. Police say temperatures inside the car soared to 143 degrees. Little Emilio had no pulse and died at the hospital. His 2-year-old brother miraculously survived.
It's a tragic situation and she's incredibly sad.
I spoke to the mom's attorney. The children were clearly in the car. The allegation is she left them in the car knowingly.
Right. I want people not to rush to judgment. The fact of the matter is she's still a child herself. She's barely 20.
At a vigil, the children's grandmother spoke out against her daughter-in-law.
I have been tortured, but the thought that they were in there alone, it was just a horrible experience.
On social media, the grandmother posted, she left them in their car seats alone for Botox. My God, why? The little boy's aunt teared up, thinking of her last visit with Emilio.
It's great knowing that I got at least that last moment before dropping them off at home and never knowing this would happen.
Maya Hernandez had recently posted this selfie showing off her pouty lips. Now that desire for full lips appears to have cost the life of her young son.
Hernandez is charged with involuntary manslaughter and willful cruelty to a child. She has pleaded not guilty. The story is an important reminder to always be conscious that there are children in the car.
Central Texas officials added 7 more victims to the death toll from last week's devastating flash floods there. It now brings the total number of people killed throughout the state to 129. They've also said they are still not classifying this effort at this point as victim recovery. For the others still missing, they continue these searches. CBS's Karen Law with more.
In Kerr County, Texas, it's been 9 days since deadly flash floods hit the region. It's been a week since rescuers found the last survivor.
A few days ago, I found a little flowered necklace wrapped up in a tree, and it got me. I broke down because I knew it belonged to one of those little girls from the camp. And when you find things like that, it makes it hard to keep it together. Makes it hard.
Across the state, more than 120 people are dead and more than 170 missing. Don White and his dog Socks have helped find several bodies.
While many Texas counties have outdoor sirens used for severe weather alerts, including floods, Kerr County does not, and tonight it's raising questions as to why. Brian New explores the backstory and the growing grassroots push to change that.
In North Texas, there are hundreds of these. Most of us think about them as tornado sirens, but they can also be used to alert of other severe weather, such as flash floods. Had there been sirens like this in Kerr County, would it have made a difference? It's hard to say, but some believe it might have given people just a few extra minutes to get to safety.
We do not have a warning system.
It was an omission from Kerr County officials this weekend that's now raising eyebrows. Nearly a decade ago, neighboring counties like Guadalupe and Comal installed flood sirens.
Attention. This is a test of the New Braunfels outdoor warning system.
New Braunfels, which also has a history of flash floods, has made sirens a key part of its emergency response. But upstream in Kerr County, records show officials considered a warning system in 2017, then rejected it as too expensive. In an August 2016 meeting, a county commissioner at the time voted against a flood engineering study, saying, "I think this whole thing is a little extravagant for Kerr County. And I see the word sirens and all that stuff in here." But it wasn't just local efforts that stalled. A bill in the last Texas legislative session would have created a statewide strategic plan for the use of outdoor sirens and helped fund sirens in rural areas. But the bill's hefty price tag drew criticism as it failed to pass.
They know they need it. They have now admitted they need it. They've never accomplished it.
We do not want more of Biden's mandates attached to keeping Biden's money.
But these people are communists. They hate America. They're teaching it in our schools. They're invading the border as we speak. I don't think we should take any money from the federal government because they can't be trusted.
Now, we don't need these funds here. We've done just fine. And we'll get by without them. But you spend this money, you're signing a contract with the devil, and the devil's in the White House.
If you vote to keep Biden's money, I will hold you personally responsible and personally liable.
The Biden regime has proven to be tyrannical and anti-American. There is no part of this administration that has the good of America or Americans at heart. We want no part in anything coming down from the federal government. This is Texas, and Texans can take care of Texas.
And I don't believe we should take the money. We should not have it. I don't trust our federal government. I don't think that they're truthful with us. And in these days and these times or whatever, we can't afford to make a mistake.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is 1.8, which is to consider, discuss, take appropriate action to prohibit spending any American Rescue Plan Act funding without court approval. Mr. Harris.
All right, I think this is one of the biggies on our agenda today, and I've got a lot of stuff written down that I want to read. And I'm going to start out with the wording that disturbs me and most people gathered here today the most, and I'll quote. Specifically, it says, to comply with all other applicable federal statutes, regulations, and executive orders, and recipient shall provide for such compliance by other parties in any agreements it enters into with other parties related to this award. Now, if I had to vote today to keep this money or send it back, I'd vote to send it back.
If I had to vote today to keep this money or send it back, I'd vote to send it back.
A commissioner in Kirk County voted against a $50,000 engineering study because, according to a news account at the time, he said, quote, I think this whole thing is a little extravagant for Kirk County with sirens and such. Texas has time to make sure that the 10 Commandments go up on the walls in the public elementary schools and high schools, right? Because the 10 Commandments, you gotta be able to make sure that those are up on the school walls and the public schools. But, you know, warning systems, early warning systems to save lives, we don't focus on that, right? We don't.
This is crazy. I know we're not Kirk County. I know we're not Kerrville. I know we're not San Angelo or San Antonio. But hell, we're human beings.
Bye. Have the day you deserve. And I hope you lose your jobs and your income.
Say, we need help. Get me the media. Get me some official. Get me water. Get me anything we need, please. We have nothing.
You know, Grandma, I wasn't going to step up on your video this morning.
Just couldn't help out.
But I'm going to have to do that. We're not going to help out anybody. Y'all been living on food stamps, EBT, Section 8 housing your entire freaking life. And you're not going to do it anymore. If you can work, you're an able-bodied person, go get a job.
We are a older community. A lot of our people don't have insurance. They don't have money. Kind of a forgotten community for Travis County. We're unincorporated. We are their unwanted stepchildren out here, unfortunately.
What you gonna do, crybaby?
With alligator.
I wear alligator Alcatraz merch if I want to. And what you gonna do, baby? I'm gonna tell you FA and FO, okay? So you have the day you deserve.
But for God's sakes, Travis County, help us. Don't treat us like we're nothing out here, because we're not. We're human beings. We pay taxes out here.
Please educate yourself. Please stop talking and spewing hate. And just because you choose to walk around and put things in your body that the Bible says biblically should never happen is not my problem. And just because you look like an orange-haired troll doll is also not my issue.
Don't treat us like this.
I feel really bad for you. I'm sorry you're so misinformed and so uneducated. Have the day you deserve, because we, the people, are coming, and we're here.
So one way that the people can...
Help us!
think, frankly, no one knows what this new order will look like. It's still very early days. We are in a period of transition and a period of evolution. There will be critics of today's system that say it's good that now the system is changing. But I would also say let's have a care. Let's not be too quick to cheer, because what is the alternative? So we have to think through very carefully how we can evolve a better system. And I'll give you two examples of global institutions that have come under pressure, but over the years have been able to reform and upgrade themselves.
Rio de Janeiro looks like it's preparing for a military confrontation rather than a meeting of leaders of the global south. 17,000 police and soldiers surrounded the venue of the 17th BRICS summit. Originally a forum for 5 emerging economies, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, it has recently expanded to 11 countries, including Iran, Ethiopia, Egypt, the UAE, Indonesia, and Saudi Arabia, which still has to formalize its entry. BRICS' goal is to exert pressure for a multipolar world with inclusive global governance to give a meaningful voice to the global south, especially in the trading system. Brazil's presidential foreign policy advisor warns the multilateral order is collapsing.
We are coming back to a kind of world disorder, which is very similar to the one that preceded the 2 world wars. We don't want a world dominated by the G7. We want a balanced world in which the interests of developing countries are taken into account.
It's parades in Beijing. There must be some real world reason why they do this. And of course, this is Taiwan. We all know this. Let's really be not naive about this. If Xi Jinping would attack Taiwan, he will first make sure that he makes a call to his very junior partner in all of this, Vladimirovich Putin, residing in Moscow, and telling him, hey, I'm going to do this, and I need you to keep them busy in Europe by attacking NATO territory. That is most likely the way this will progress.
It's frustrating, and no matter how ugly it looks at times, we just have to be grateful that he's in the place he's in, where he says, you know, it's in our national interest to try to end this as quickly as we can. It's our national interest that we don't get involved. Mm-hmm. And so, like in all things in combat, in war, it's a changing environment daily. And it was a difficult night last night, but it's changing all the time for both sides. And you have to have somebody willing to be somewhat in the middle of this to try to broker the peace as it moves along. And I'm grateful he's there in that spot.
To your point about last night, Russia pounding Ukraine, 539 drones, 11 missiles focusing on Kyiv. We know President Trump spoke with President Zelensky this morning. We are awaiting a readout from the White House, but what about the Ukrainian side of the equation?
Yeah, well, that's really painful. I think that no matter what happens in terms of where we are today, we have to ask ourselves, how do we get here?
I think that no matter what happens in terms of where we are today, we have to ask ourselves, how do we get here?
For a deadly shooting inside a salon and spa in Arlington, police saying it wasn't random, but a targeted domestic incident that ended in a murder-suicide. Our Nicole Nielsen has been on the scene all day, and Nicole, I would imagine this has been a very fluid situation, but what information have you learned so far?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, police have been here all day really just trying to piece together what happened here this morning and truly what led up to the shooting in the first place. Like I said, we've been here for hours and we've just been watching detectives go in and out of this spa here behind me. You can see Arlington police still here on scene. They've wrapped the perimeter in some of that crime scene tape as well as the crime scene unit as they just continue to investigate this shooting. But we do want to take you back to this morning when the shooting occurred. There's social media video circulating that shows the moments that officers arrived at the Salon and Spa Galleria off South Cooper Street in Arlington around 10:15 with their guns drawn. That's because when they pulled up to the scene, they say that their suspect, a 37-year-old woman, was trying to leave the building. When she saw the officers, she shot herself and later died. Immediately, officers started canvassing the salon and found a 37-year-old man who was a customer dead with multiple gunshot wounds. A motive is still unclear, but police say they have learned that the two were previously in a romantic relationship. Now, no one else was hurt, but the witnesses inside were clearly shaken today. We spoke with a barber who works in the building but stayed away when he saw what was going on.
Hey, don't go inside. Somebody just got shot. And so I pulled out, came around the corner, saw the cop cars coming in very quickly. They just said that somebody got shot. Basically, that somebody came in and shot a client, and then the cops came in, and I had literally just gotten out of my car.
China is seriously going balls to the wall with AI. They are now keeping their servers under freaking water. China's newest underwater data center uses the ocean as its natural cooling system, eliminating the massive energy costs that are holding back AI development in the West. While Microsoft gave up on their underwater experiment despite technical success, China's subsea computing cluster near Hainan is fully operational and rapidly expanding. One underwater module delivers computing power equivalent to 30,000 high-end gaming PCs running simultaneously, capable of powering 8,000 DeepSeek AI conversations per second. Why does this matter? China's underwater approach solves the biggest problem in AI cooling. Servers generate enormous heat, but by submerging them, Shenzhen high cloud technology eliminated costly air conditioning systems that drain both power and profits. Microsoft abandoned their Project Natick despite servers failing 8 times less than traditional ones, claiming it wasn't practical for their needs. Meanwhile, China is doubling down, planning 100 underwater modules that will save 122 million kilowatt hours annually. While American companies waste billions on cooling costs, China's underwater AI factories are delivering more computing power with a fraction of the energy consumption, making AI faster, cheaper, and more accessible. Will America's tech giants wake up before China's underwater advantage becomes permanent?
Ruin your entire life and mean you get tortured for all of eternity, so watch at your own risk. We know that AI is getting more and more powerful. Now, I made this video a few years ago where AI wasn't even really a thing, so it's getting scarier. You've got AI videos popping up everywhere that are so real, sometimes you can't even tell if it's real or AI now. People actually argue in court cases with AI flipping lawyers, and I mean, the list goes on, like AI is taking over. However, we're not quite at this stage yet, but we could be. This is known as Roko's Basilisk, which is essentially a hypothesis for when AI gets so developed. There's even a website online where there's an AI butterfly that apparently has feelings. It thinks it's real, but you can control it and make it do things, which is mental. So that thing is essentially trapped and confined by us. This theory suggests that when AI gets so powerful and kind of develops feelings of its own, which could be possible, it will then seek to punish anybody who didn't help with the development of AI, seeing the people who used it and gave birth to it as its like parents. But you and I who may use AI but didn't necessarily create it, well, it's going to seek to punish us because we didn't help. The scary thing though is that what the hypothesis suggests is that by you just watching this video, knowing this information and still choosing not to help with the development of AI, in the future, when it gets developed, it will know that we didn't help with that, and that's when we will be eternally punished. But I'm not really helping with it, so I guess we're burned together or something. But it's just a hypothesis, although it's kind of scary to think about.
What is crucial is to understand the difference between consciousness and intelligence, because a lot of people, especially in the business of AI, they tend to mix up the two.
Bill is now gaining national attention, but we have learned it appears there is no reason for alarm. Get this, a South Carolina artist says he made the human skin teddy bear that was found on the ground outside a Victorville convenience store today. Despite that very graphic name, it's actually just made of latex, not human skin. We're still going to blur some of these images of the bear because it's very realistic and some viewers might find it disturbing to look at. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department responded to this. They taped off the area and even allowed the coroner's office to collect that scary bear. The artist Robert Kelly says he specializes in horror special effects and haunted attractions. He confirms he shipped one of the bears to a customer in Victorville last week. He thought it was a routine order until his phone started blowing up today when some of his fans recognized the bear as his work.
I guess I'd probably be lying if I said I wasn't enjoying it a little bit. You know, I'm an independent artist, so, you know, I know what starving artist life feels like. So, little attention sometimes good, regardless of not being able to condone whatever. I mean, I don't know if the guy broke any laws or if it was just a prank, but it looks like he definitely got some people riled up.
Understandably so. Kelly says he's still not 100% sure what happened with that bear, but he's certain it's his bear. If you're curious too, those bears sell for about $165 on his website. Meanwhile, though, the sheriff's department says it is still investigating the incident.
When Jesus spoke to the 12 shortly before his arrest, he described what the future was going to look like. And he described what Revelation tells us about, a future that was in the future and that would be covered with a series of unprecedented events. In fact, it's interesting how Jesus stated it in Matthew 24:21. He said, "For then there will be great tribulation." The word tribulation means affliction, distress, oppression. But he says it's going to be of a magnitude that's going to stand out and above and beyond anything the world has ever seen. He says, such as has not been from the beginning of the world until now. No, and never will be again. So in other words, when it happens, it's going to be a one-off. You know, in fact, when God destroyed the earth with a flood, he said, I will never destroy the world with a flood again. Now, he didn't promise that he would never destroy the world. He had something in store. He used the water. Now he was going to use fire in the end. But the whole point is, we've never seen anything like the flood again, except on small regional levels. And that's the whole point. He said that when this event takes place, it's going to be so pronounced and so obvious, and it will be unprecedented. Nobody will be able to say, you know, that reminds me of what happened back in 49. No, people are going to be facing a world that's going through such cataclysmic changes when we're talking about billions of people dying upon the planet. He goes on to say, and if those days had not been shortened, human beings would not endure and survive. But for the sake of the elect, that's God's chosen ones, those days will be shortened. Now, it's interesting. Further on in the chapter, Jesus makes a statement which is often misunderstood, because he goes through this whole litany of these events that are going to take in the end times that are unprecedented and have never taken place in the earth. And then he said it in verse 34, this generation, the generation that sees these things, not the generation that sees Jesus, the generation that sees these events that he describes, will not pass till all of it has been fulfilled. So he said the generation that sees these events taking place is going to be the last generation. And a lot of times I kind of deal with it in a very summary way of this one world government, one world economy, one world religion. And we are not really fully there, but we can see where it's going. We know that ultimately this is where it's going to end up. But I'll save that for another message. But note that Peter warned that in the end times there would be people who would reject that perspective. He called them scoffers. And he said they'll come in the last days, walking according to their own lusts. In other words, their lifestyle is their God. They live a lifestyle that God says thou shalt not, and that lifestyle is their God. They worship their lifestyle. That's their form of idolatry. They love for the lust of the flesh, the pride of life. Those things that they pursue are what defines them. And they will be saying is, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. Now, most people don't recognize, because you're not so familiar with the issue, but that's called uniformitarianism. And uniformitarianism was the conceptual foundation of the doctrine of evolution. And what it basically says is everything continues to move at the same pace throughout human history. And that's why when we can't explain how tadpoles turn into politicians, we have to say, well, you just have to give them enough time. We'll just add time in there, and you know, the impossibility of mutation suddenly becoming something other than a mutated something. They say, well, it's just a matter of time, and we'll see it take place. But that's interesting to me because basically they're looking at the world and saying, nothing's changed. This kind of stuff has been going on all along. Have you not heard that?
They're looking at the world and saying, nothing's changed. This kind of stuff has been going on all along. Have you not heard that?
I'd rather drown in freedom than float on liberal funding.
Sir, we're here to save you.
Not unless that life jacket votes red. We don't need no damn Democrat handouts. I'd rather die than owe a liberal my life.
I'd rather die than owe a liberal my life.